Here are my top takeaways from this week. Basically, long story short, I had the wonderful opportunity to volunteer for a conference that was being held in Toronto. One of the biggest things that I took away was how good it feels to be surrounded by like-minded people who have the same vision and hopes for the future generation or just for the future of film in general. And I'm a big believer of bridging the gap, not just for us as young people, but the future generation that comes into film. Any opportunity that you're able to provide for the people coming in, I'm all for it, basically. So even though I'm in Toronto and it's a busy city, it's diverse, it's full of networking opportunities, it can feel a bit isolating, especially with not only ideas that I would like to implement within my union, but also in general as a creative individual, like things that I genuinely want to see happen on set, things that I genuinely want to see happen when I'm working with other collaborators. So it could feel a bit like I'm the only one that's going after that vision. Being in that room, it didn't feel like that. I felt like I was right where I belonged. I was able to bounce off ideas with other leaders, and they were actually really supportive of the ideas that I had as well. And they were like, no, you're not crazy for thinking this way. We've all been there at one point, and so it was a really good boost of morale. You're not doing the work alone, and if you need help, even if you are in a leadership position, if you need support, if you need someone to talk to, there are other leaders that are there for you. You can reach out to them, you can connect with them. The second takeaway for me was actually just how valuable saying yes to opportunities is in this industry. And I know I've talked about you have to take a risk and you have to be bold and you have to put yourself out there, ask for what you want. You don't always have to look at the monetary gains. Sometimes we can get caught up in what's in it for me? What am I getting out of this? Am I making enough money? We underestimate how a simple yes to, hey, can you help me with this thing? Or, hey, we need extra hands. Are you available? Can really go, how far it can really go. Every single leader also had said yes to an opportunity at some point in their career. And that landed them to where they are today, just like how I am here in the position that I am today, because you just say yes to certain things that open these doors for you, and then one thing after another, and then you slowly start to pave your way. Leadership is not something that happens to you. It's something that you grow into as a person by saying yes to the opportunities that are presented to you. And I have always said yes to opportunities when I do get the chance to step into leadership roles. I've never hesitated from that, and being in a room full of other leaders that said they also had a similar mindset was such a positive takeaway for me, because I was like, okay, great, this is exactly what I want. And the third thing which I learned was leadership doesn't always have to be loud. And I can say this from watching leaders and mentors that I personally have within my local. I have the president of my union, for example. I look at him and he's not the loudest person in the room, but when he speaks, people listen because he's got something valuable to say. There's a certain grace and classiness in that leadership style, which I'm personally drawn to. And I think that that's much more of a healthier mindset to have if you are somebody who's in a position of power where people listen to you and, that kind of a thing. Having these little breakout meetings, something that stood out to me was there were people that were involved in those conversations that had 25 plus years experience, 30 years experience. They helped with, collective agreements, certain contracts, implementing certain language, breaking barriers with even things like having committees as a part of unions, or fighting for wages, fighting for rights, fighting for certain things that are now the norm in the union. And they were not loud. They were literally sitting in the back of the room, quiet, observing, watching, listening, and just happy to be there, happy to attend. Leadership isn't loud, and it doesn't have to be loud to be impactful. I come from the thought process of you should let your work do the talking for you, and then people will pay attention to you naturally. They will pay attention to what you have to say. They will listen to you. So yeah, those were just a couple of my takeaways. I think it's important for me to talk about these things because leadership matters to me. I'm somebody who wants to, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there's literally construction going on upstairs. But I'm going to wrap it up by saying I think it's important to talk about these things because just as much as technical skills and on-set etiquette is important, leadership and the business side is also important because that's where the change really happens. And being involved in these volunteering opportunities for me this past week has been a prime example of You never know where a door opens for you. You never know the importance and the impact of saying a simple yes. If you are somebody who's looking to step more into a leadership role, or you want to be a leader one day, maybe you found this useful or maybe you didn't. But honestly, this one was just for me to kind of vocalize how grateful I am to be a part of a union and to be a part of an industry that fosters positive leadership.